guys, welcome to Ride On Academia. Today we're going to be looking at the matrices. Okay, now when we have a matrix, we're talking about a rectangular arrangement. Okay, a rectangular arrangement of numbers, okay, or elements, which are mostly numbers. So we have a rectangular array of numbers, then we say we have a matrix. Now let's assume I'm going to be using a 3 by 3. Okay, let's use a 3 by 3 matrix. Right, let's use a 3 by 3 matrix for our illustration. Now you can see that these numbers are arranged in rectangular form. We have the rows and then we have the columns. All right, now every element in our matrix can be identified based on its positioning on the row and the column. All right, the position of the row and column it fall under, we can then call it that as an identifier. All right, now let's assume we have the matrix. Let's use 6 for example, right, as an element. Let's say the matrix, the name of our matrix is A, right? Now this is an element of this matrix. Now if we want to check for the identifier or the specific identifier of A, or our unique name for A, right, we will now check in our row and column positioning. Okay, now this is our first row, this is our second row, our third row, right, our rows, the numbers this way, we call them rows. And then when we get to column, this is our first column, second column, and our third column. So we name elements after the positioning of the rows and column, okay, to which they fall under. Now you can see that our number 6 falls on the third row, right, and then on the second column. So we can be calling this what A for 3 what 2, because that means it's an element of A, right, and then it falls on the third row and on the second column. Are we there now? So in this video, we're going to be looking at addition and subtraction of matrices. Okay, in this video, we're going, by way of introduction, we'll be seeing how to add and how to subtract what matrices. Now when we want to add or subtract, we should have a matrix or matrices that have the same number of rows and what column. Are we together now? Our matrices should have the same number of column. Now this is a 2 by 2 matrix, right? On the board we have a 2 by 2 matrix, and then we have a 2 by 3 matrix, right? 2 column and 3 rows, 2 rows and 3 columns, right? Now we cannot add these both matrices together. Are we there now? We cannot add them together. Why? Because this is a 2 by 2 matrix and this is a what? A 2 by 3 matrix. So if we must be able to add them together, we should have the same number of rows and the same number of columns for each of the matrices. All right, so we are going to either add one more column, okay, or we have to delete one more column. So what I'll be doing is I'll be adding one more column. All right, so now we have this. Okay, now when we want to add, what we simply do is this. For addition or subtraction, you take your first row, first column, you add it to the first row, first column in the second matrix. Okay, you take your first row, your second column, add it to the first row, second column. You take your first row, third column, add it like that. Every position you add it to the other position, the same position in the next matrix. All right, so for our, this is our element, right? Our first row, first column, we'll be adding it to this. We'll be having what? 6. All right, now when we add for our first row, second column, we'll be having what? 4. We have, as for our first row, third column, we'll be having 3, right? When we add for our second row, right, by the second row now, our second row, first column, we'll add it to our second row, first column, we'll be having what? 6. Now we add second row, second column to second row, second column, we're having 8. And then lastly we add our 4 and 6, second row, third column, right, to be having what? 10. So we have added this to have this new matrix. We can even call our matrix C, right, so that the element now can be called what? This is our C11, right, first row, first column, C12, and then C13, like that. Are we together now? I'm going to be going to subtraction of matrices. Okay, it follows the same rules applicable. So we must have we should have the same number of rows and columns for each of the matrices, right? Now we still use the same way when subtracting. So we want to subtract, we are having 1 minus 1, all right, which is what? 0. We have 5 minus 2, which is 3. We have 6 minus 1, we have 5. We have 3 minus 3, we have 0. We have 2 minus 6, we have minus 4, all right? We have 1 minus 4, and then we have minus 3. So this is how we subtract. The same rule applies, okay? So this is our introduction on what? Matrices. In our next video, we're going to be looking at what? Determination of how we can have our determination, all right? So if you've not subscribed to our channel, please do so. Click on the notification button so that when new videos drop, you'll be notified immediately, all right? And then share our video with as many as you can. We'll see you in our next class. Thank you.